The shuttle touched down on Earth's surface with barely a whisper. Ambassador Trill stepped out first, his long legs trembling slightly as they made contact with alien soil. Behind him came Security Chief Horvin, compound eyes scanning everything at once, and xenobiologist Lyra, her moist skin glistening under Earth's strange yellow sun. 3 months of preparation, countless briefings, and endless debates in the Quillarian Concordat had led to this moment. David Park waited at the landing pad, hands clasped behind his back. He wore a simple gray suit and a warm smile that the aliens had learned meant friendliness. Next to him stood Dr. Amy Wright, carrying a tablet full of presentation materials. They had chosen this location carefully, not the bustling cities or the government towers, but a quiet suburban facility where normal humans lived and worked. The Concordat wanted to see real Earth, not a diplomatic theater. Trill activated his translation device. His voice came out stilted and mechanical. "We are honored by your welcome. The Quillarian people extend greetings." David stepped forward and extended his hand. The aliens had studied this gesture. Trill reached out with his 3-fingered appendage and grasped it. The human's grip was firm but not threatening. Horvin noted this in his security log. Lyra simply stared at everything, recording data through her optical implants. "Welcome to Earth," David said. "We've prepared a tour of our facility. You'll meet some of our staff, see how we live, and hopefully feel comfortable here." They walked toward the main building. The structure was low and wide, built among trees and grass. Lyra found this strange. Most civilized species built upward, away from the wild ground. Humans seemed to enjoy staying close to nature. Her people had abandoned that philosophy millennia ago when predators still roamed their homeworld. Inside, the facility buzzed with quiet activity. Humans moved through hallways, some carrying papers, others talking into communication devices. A few stopped to stare at the visitors but quickly returned to their tasks. David led them through a corridor lined with windows. Outside, more trees swayed in the wind. "This is our residential section," Dr. Wright explained. "Many of our staff live here with their families. We wanted you to see that humans don't separate work from life completely. We believe in balance." Trill found this concept disturbing. Families near work meant young ones in potential danger. His own people kept their offspring in protected zones, far from any risk. "Your young live here? In a government facility?" "Some do," David replied. "It's safe. Probably the safest place on Earth, actually." Horvin's antennae twitched. Safe by whose standards? His security briefings had shown him Earth's history. Wars, violence, predators, natural disasters. This planet seemed designed to kill its inhabitants, yet humans thrived. They even seemed to enjoy the danger. As they walked, a sound drifted through the building. Distant but clear. A long, drawn-out howl that started low and rose to a piercing cry. Then another joined it, and another. A chorus of howls echoed through the air. Trill stopped walking. His skin turned from green to pale yellow, the color of fear among his people. Horvin's legs locked in place, his body entering defensive mode. Lyra's breathing apparatus flared, pumping extra oxygen into her system for a possible flight response. "Alpha predators," Horvin whispered, his translator barely functioning. "Pack hunters. They're calling to each other." "They're close." David looked confused. "I'm sorry, what?" "The hunting call," Trill said, backing toward the wall. "We must evacuate immediately. Your facility is under attack." Dr. Wright glanced at David, then understanding dawned on her face. "Oh, that's coming from the residential area. Someone probably got home and they're—" The howling grew louder, closer. Lyra's scientific training kicked in despite her fear. She analyzed the sounds. Multiple sources. Large lung capacity designed for long-distance communication. Classic pack predator behavior. Why weren't the humans running? "We need to secure the young," Horvin said, his voice rising. "Where are your offspring? They must be protected." "They're fine," David said, raising his hands in a calming gesture. "Really, there's no danger." "Let me explain." But before he could finish, a small human came running down the hallway. A child barely reaching David's waist with dark hair and bright eyes. He wore colorful clothing and moved with the fearless speed that only young creatures possessed. Lucas, the son of a staff member, had been playing in one of the common rooms. "Did you hear Bruno?" The child called out, his voice full of excitement. "He's back from the vet. Mom said I could go see him." The boy ran past the aliens without a second glance, heading toward the source of the howling. His small feet pounded against the floor as he disappeared around a corner. Trill's fear turned to horror. The child. He's running toward the predators. We have to save him, Lyra said, her scientific detachment crumbling. Even between species, the young were precious. The thought of a small one being torn apart by pack hunters made her ill. David opened his mouth to explain, but Horvin was already moving. Against every instinct screaming at him to flee, the security chief ran after the child. Trill and Lyra followed, their diplomatic training overriding their terror. They had to save the young human, even if it cost them their lives. The howling stopped suddenly. In the silence that followed, they heard something worse, the child's voice laughing. Then a deep rumbling sound, a bark, another, the sounds of a predator encountering prey. They rounded the corner and froze. Lucas sat on the floor, his arms wrapped around the neck of an enormous creature. Brown and black fur covered its muscular body. Its mouth was open, revealing rows of sharp teeth designed for tearing meat. The creature was easily 3 times the child's size, built like every nightmare the Quilarian people had learned to fear in their evolutionary past. And it was licking the boy's face while its tail moved back and forth in rapid movements. "This is Bruno," Lucas said, noticing the aliens. He grinned at them, still hugging the beast. "He's my puppy. Do you want to pet him?" Silence filled the hallway like a physical presence. Trill's 3 hearts hammered in his chest, each beating at a different rhythm in his panic. Horvin had drawn his defensive weapon without conscious thought, though he knew it would do nothing against a creature that size. Lyra simply stared, her scientific mind trying to process what her eyes were showing her. The beast that the child called Bruno tilted its head. Its ears, pointed and alert, swiveled toward the aliens. For a moment, predator eyes met, prey eyes. Then the creature's mouth opened wider, tongue lolling out, and it made a sound that resembled happiness. Its tail moved faster. "No sudden movements," Horvin whispered to his companions. "Back away slowly. Don't show fear." But fear was all they had. Trill's skin had gone completely white, a color his species only displayed in the face of certain death. Lyra's breathing apparatus worked overtime, making wet, gasping sounds. They couldn't move. Millions of years of evolution had frozen them in place, hoping the predator would ignore them if they became still enough. Lucas stood up, keeping one hand on Bruno's head. The creature stood as well, and now the aliens could see its full size. It was massive, built with powerful legs and a deep chest. A hunter designed by nature to chase down prey across long distances. The Quilarian database had files on Earth's evolutionary history. They had read about predators like this. Wolves, pack hunters that humans had supposedly encountered in their ancient past. "Are you okay?" Lucas asked, looking at the aliens with concern. "You look scared. Bruno's friendly. He doesn't bite unless you're a bad guy." David and Dr. Wright had caught up, slightly out of breath. David immediately assessed the situation and stepped between the aliens and the dog, though not in a defensive way. "More like a mediator. I apologize," David said calmly. "We should have warned you. This is a dog. They're common on Earth. Most families have them." "Common?" Trill managed to say, his voice box struggling to form words. "You allow these apex predators to live among you, near your young?" Bruno, sensing the tension, moved closer to Lucas. The boy wrapped his arms around the dog's neck again, burying his face in the fur. The gesture of a child seeking comfort from a protector. Except the protector was a creature that could kill the child with one bite. Dr. Wright pulled out her tablet. "Let me show you some information. Dogs aren't actually predators anymore. Well, they are, but they're domesticated. They've lived with humans for over 30,000 years. They're our companions." She held up the screen showing images of humans and dogs throughout history. Cave paintings of humans hunting alongside wolves. Ancient pottery showing dogs guarding homes. Modern photographs of dogs sleeping in beds with children, playing in parks, working alongside humans in various tasks. Lyra forced her scientific training to override her fear. She looked at the images, then at Bruno, then back at the images. Domestication. We know this concept. We've domesticated food animals, creatures that provide resources. But you've domesticated a predator? That should be impossible. They should have killed you. They almost did, David admitted. Our history books talk about it. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors and their ancestors, wolves, competed for the same prey. But somewhere along the way, we decided to work together instead of against each other. The wolves that were less aggressive got food from us. We got protection and hunting partners from them. Over generations, they changed. They became dogs. Horvin's weapon slowly lowered. His tactical mind was processing this information differently. You turned enemies into allies. Through generations of selective breeding, you modified a predator's behavior to serve your needs. Not just serve, Lucas said, still hugging Bruno. They're family. Bruno sleeps in my bed. He plays with me. When I'm sad, he makes me feel better. The dog, as if understanding, licked Lucas's cheek again. The boy giggled. That sound, pure joy from a young one, was universal across species. But the context made it surreal. A child laughing while in the embrace of a creature designed to kill. Trill's color slowly returned to a light green. His breathing steadied. You modified them genetically? Not exactly, Dr. Wright said. We just bred the friendly ones, over and over for thousands of years. The aggressive ones didn't get to have puppies. Eventually, we had dogs that loved humans naturally. It's in their instincts now. They're hardwired to protect us, especially children. Puppies? Lyra asked. Baby dogs, Lucas explained. He pulled out his communication device and showed them pictures. Tiny, fuzzy creatures with oversized paws and innocent eyes. Bruno was this small when we got him. He's 2 years old now. He'll live about 10 or 12 years. The aliens looked at the tiny creatures in the images, then at the full-grown Bruno. The transformation was remarkable. Those small, helpless beings grew into powerful hunters, and humans welcomed them into their homes during this transformation, raising them alongside their own young. There are more of these? Horvin asked, though he suspected he knew the answer. David smiled. Hundreds of millions. Dogs are everywhere on Earth. Different sizes, different purposes. Some hunt with us, some guard our homes, some help disabled humans navigate, some work in rescue operations, and some, like Bruno, are just pets. Companions, friends. A new sound echoed from outside, a different pitch, more aggressive and demanding. A yowl that rose and fell in an irritated pattern. Horvin's antennae went rigid again. What was that? Dr. Wright glanced at her tablet. Oh, that's probably Professor Williams' cat. She must be hungry. Trill's color drained again. Cat? Another predator? Lucas nodded enthusiastically. Cats are cool too. They're smaller than dogs, but they're really good hunters. Mrs. Williams' cat, Whiskers, catches mice in the storage room. Want to meet her? Before anyone could answer, a sleek orange creature came stalking down the hallway. It moved with liquid grace, each step perfectly placed. Green eyes focused on the group with an intensity that made Horvin want to activate his weapon again. The cat sat down about 10 feet away and stared at them, tail swishing back and forth. That's Whiskers, Lucas said. She's kind of grumpy, but if you pet her the right way, she purrs. The cat stood, stretched in a way that displayed every muscle in its body, then walked directly up to David and rubbed against his legs. The human reached down and scratched behind its ears. The creature's eyes closed in pleasure, and a rumbling sound emerged from its throat. Purring, the humans called it. To the aliens, it sounded like the idling engine of a death machine. Whiskers completed her inspection of David's legs and turned her attention to the visitors. Those green eyes studied each alien in turn, evaluating them with the ancient calculation of a born hunter. Trill tried to make himself smaller, an impossible task given his height. Horvin remained motionless, remembering his training about not attracting predator attention. Lyra found herself unable to look away from the cat's gaze. The creature approached them slowly, each paw placed deliberately, making no sound. The stalking behavior of an ambush predator. When Whiskers was within striking distance of Trill, she stopped. Her nose twitched as she sniffed the air around him. Then, inexplicably, she flopped onto her side and rolled over, exposing her belly. She likes you, Lucas exclaimed. That means she trusts you. You can pet her belly, but be gentle. Sometimes she grabs your hand if you do it wrong. Trill stared at the exposed underside of the predator. In nature, showing the belly was a sign of submission or trust. But this creature's claws were still visible, retracted but ready. The humans called this affection. His people would call it a trap. David guided them away from the animals and back toward the conference room. Lucas waved goodbye, scooping up whiskers while Bruno followed at his heels. The boy and his predators disappeared around another corner, leaving the aliens to process what they had witnessed. The conference room was simple: a large table, comfortable chairs, and a wall-sized display screen. Dr. Wright activated the screen and pulled up a presentation she had prepared. The title read, Earth's Domestication History. "I think we need to have this conversation now," she said, her tone apologetic. "We didn't realize how shocking this would be. In our defense, we sent you information about dogs and cats in our cultural briefings. We thought they were symbolic," Lyra admitted, her voice steadier now that no predators were in sight. "Many species have myths about taming beasts. We assumed it was metaphorical. Stories you told children to teach them about bravery." David poured water for everyone from a pitcher. The aliens noticed his hands were steady. No residual fear, no adrenaline response. He had stood next to predators and showed no more concern than if they were furniture. The presentation began. The first slide showed the timeline of dog domestication. 35,000 years ago, the first wolves began following human hunter groups. 20,000 years ago, distinct dog breeds started appearing. 5,000 years ago, dogs had spread to every continent where humans lived. They chose us as much as we chose them, Dr. Wright explained. The wolves that were brave enough to approach humans but gentle enough not to attack got food. We got warning systems and hunting help. It was mutual benefit that became mutual love. Horvan studied the timeline. 35,000 years. Your species has been in an active partnership with predators for longer than my entire civilization has existed. The next slides showed cats. Their domestication was more recent, only about 10,000 years, and apparently, cats had domesticated themselves. They were drawn to human settlements because humans stored grain, which attracted rodents, which attracted cats. Humans noticed the cats kept the rodents away and encouraged them to stay. Cats are more independent, David said. Dogs were bred to obey and cooperate. Cats were bred to hunt and keep our food stores safe. They're both predators, but they serve different roles in our lives. Lyra's scientific mind finally engaged fully. Show me the biological data. Brain structure, hormone levels, behavioral patterns. I need to understand how you modified them. Dr. Wright pulled up comparative scans. Wolf brains versus dog brains. The differences were subtle but significant. Enhanced areas for social bonding, reduced aggression responses, increased oxytocin production when near humans. The same hormone that bonded human parents to their children bonded dogs to their human families. They love you, Lyra said softly. Not obey, not tolerate. They actually love you. It's biological. Yes, Dr. Wright confirmed. Dogs experience genuine affection for humans. Studies show their heart rates increase when they see their owners. They dream about us. They grieve when we die. They're not just tame predators. They're family members who happen to be descended from wolves. Trill's color shifted to a thoughtful blue. On my world, we eliminated our predators, hunted them to extinction or drove them to isolated zones. We believed coexistence was impossible. You did the opposite. You brought them into your homes. Not all predators, David clarified. We're not completely crazy. We didn't domesticate bears or big cats, though some people have tried. We chose species that could adapt to social structures similar to ours. Wolves live in packs with hierarchies. Cats are territorial but tolerate social groups. These traits made them compatible with human society. The presentation continued. Images of dogs throughout human history. War dogs protecting soldiers. Sled dogs pulling supplies across frozen wastelands. Service dogs guiding blind humans. Search and rescue dogs finding people in disasters. Therapy dogs comforting sick children in hospitals. Each image showed the bond between human and animal, a partnership that had shaped both species. They changed us too, Dr. Wright added. Studies suggest that humans who live with dogs are healthier. Lower blood pressure, less stress, longer lives. Children who grow up with dogs develop stronger immune systems and better social skills. The relationship made both species better. Horvan brought up another concern, but the danger remains. You said dogs are descended from wolves. What if the predator instincts return? What if they attack? David nodded. It happens. Very rarely, but it happens. Usually from abuse or neglect. A dog that's mistreated might become aggressive. A dog that's trained to fight can be dangerous. But millions of dogs live peacefully with humans every day. The exceptions are so rare they make news when they occur. You accept the risk, Horvin said. It wasn't a question. We accept the relationship, David corrected. Yes, dogs have teeth and strength. But they use those things to protect us, not hurt us. They're more likely to die defending a human than to attack one. That's what 35,000 years of partnership created. A knock on the door interrupted them. A woman entered, carrying a small child on her hip. Lucas's mother, here to take him home for dinner. In her other arm, she carried Whiskers. The cat had apparently decided to accompany them. Sorry to interrupt, she said. Just grabbing Lucas. Did these folks meet Bruno? They did, David said with a slight smile. The woman looked at the aliens and noticed their unusual colors and stiff postures. Oh, don't worry about him. He's all bark and no bite, gentle as a lamb. The phrase didn't translate well. Lyra made a note to look up what a lamb was later. Based on the pattern, it was probably another Earth animal with surprising characteristics. Lucas appeared in the doorway, Bruno at his side. The boy waved at the aliens. Bye. Maybe tomorrow you can throw a ball for Bruno. He really likes that game. The family left, child and mother and cat and dog all together, a unit that included 2 predators as beloved members. The door closed behind them, leaving the aliens alone with their human hosts. Trill spoke first. I need to inform the Concordate. They won't believe this. Take your time, David said. We have plenty more to show you. The dogs and cats are just the beginning. Horvin's antennae drooped. There's more? Dr. Wright dimmed the lights and expanded the display screen. What appeared next made even Lyra, the scientist, question whether she was experiencing some kind of hallucination. The screen showed a comprehensive list of every species humans had domesticated. The list scrolled slowly, line after line of creatures organized by category. Companion animals filled the first section. Dogs had hundreds of breeds listed separately. Cats had fewer but still dozens of distinct types. Then came smaller creatures: rabbits, guinea pigs, hamsters, ferrets. The list seemed endless. These are all predators? Horvin asked, fixated on ferrets. The image showed a long, sleek creature with sharp teeth designed for killing small prey. Some are, David admitted. Ferrets were originally used to hunt rabbits. Now they're pets. They play with children. They sleep in people's beds. They're affectionate and playful. The list continued. Livestock filled the next section. Cows, pigs, sheep, goats, chickens. Creatures bred for food and resources, but many humans also kept them as companions. Dr. Wright showed images of people treating pigs like dogs, giving them toys and teaching them tricks. Chickens following their owners around gardens like loyal attendants. You befriend your food, Trill said, his color shifting to confused yellow. That seems psychologically complex. It is, Dr. Wright agreed. Many humans struggle with it. Some choose not to eat meat because they can't reconcile loving animals and consuming them. Others separate food animals from companion animals in their minds. It's not always logical. Lyra studied the livestock data. These creatures are modified significantly from their wild ancestors. You've enhanced their size, changed their behavior, altered their entire biology to suit your needs. Over thousands of years, yes, David said. We bred them to be docile, productive, and compatible with human society. The wild versions of these animals are quite different. A wild boar is dangerous. A domestic pig is friendly. Same species, different temperament. The screen moved to working animals. Horses dominated this section. Horvin pulled up additional data on his device and his entire body tensed. These are prey animals that weigh half a ton. And you climb on their backs? You let them carry your young? Horses have been partners for 6,000 years, Dr. Wright explained. They're strong enough to carry us, fast enough to transport us quickly, and intelligent enough to bond with us. Humans and horses built civilizations together. They pulled our plows, carried us into battle, transported our goods. They're magnificent creatures. The screen showed images through history. Ancient warriors on horseback. Farmers guiding horses through fields. Children learning to ride at gentle walks. Modern riders jumping obstacles in perfect synchronization with their mounts. The relationship was clearly built on trust. One wrong move from a horse could kill a human, yet millions of humans rode them daily. They could kill you easily, Lyra observed. One kick from those legs would shatter bones.
Why don't they?
Because we've built trust, David said simply. We care for them, they carry us. We feed them, they work for us. It's partnership. They could rebel, but they don't want to. We've made sure they don't want to. Trill found this disturbing on a new level. You've modified their desires? Their fundamental nature? We've found common ground, Dr. Wright corrected. Horses are herd animals. They want to belong to a group. We became their herd. They protect us because we're family to them. Not genetic family, but chosen family. The screen changed again. Exotic pets appeared. Birds with brilliant plumage that could crack nuts with their beaks. Reptiles that were pure predators. Snakes and lizards with venomous bites or crushing strength. Fish with territorial aggression. Even spiders and scorpions, creatures of nightmares from many species. People keep these? Horvan's voice cracked. Voluntarily. Some people enjoy unusual pets, David said. These require special care and aren't for everyone. But yes, there are humans who share their homes with snakes, spiders, even venomous creatures. Carefully controlled, of course. Lyra zoomed in on one entry. Wolves, you still keep wolves? I thought they became dogs. Some people keep wolf hybrids, Dr. Wright admitted. Part wolf, part dog. It's controversial and illegal in many places. Wolves are harder to domesticate than their dog descendants. They retain more wild instincts. But some humans are drawn to that challenge. The pattern was becoming clear to the aliens. Humans didn't just domesticate animals for practical purposes. They were driven by something deeper. A need to connect with other species, to bridge the gap between human and animal, to prove that wildness could be tamed through patience and love. Why? Trill finally asked. Why do this? You could have eliminated predators like we did, built safe environments, protected yourselves. Instead, you invited danger into your homes. What drives this behavior? David and Dr. Wright exchanged glances. The question had a complex answer, one that required understanding human psychology at its core. Loneliness. David said quietly. Humans are social creatures. We need connection. In our early history, other humans provided that. But we also found connection with animals. Dogs offered loyalty without judgment. Cats offered companionship without demands. Horses offered partnership without betrayal. Animals give us something other humans sometimes can't. Unconditional acceptance. Dr. Wright added more. We're also curious. We see a wild creature and wonder if it could be a friend. Most species see a predator and run. Humans see a predator and think maybe, just maybe, we could understand each other. It's not always smart, but it's deeply human. The screen showed modern scenes now. Dogs in office buildings providing stress relief for workers. Cats in libraries keeping children company while they read. Horses used in therapy for traumatized individuals. Animals had become integrated into every aspect of human society. Your entire civilization is built on partnership with other species, Lyra said, her scientific tone betraying wonder. You're not alone at the top of your food chain. You brought others up with you. We tried being alone, David said. It didn't work. We're better with them than without them. They make us more human somehow, more capable of love and trust and patience. A notification appeared on Dr. Wright's tablet. She glanced at it and smiled. Actually, if you're feeling up to it, we have a chance to see more of this in action. There's a public park nearby. Saturday afternoon, it will be full of people and their dogs. You could observe natural interaction. See how this works in everyday life. Horvan's security instincts immediately objected. You want us to go to a location with multiple predators and crowds of humans? It's the safest place in the city, David assured him. Everyone's there to relax and play. The dogs are all friendly. Many are puppies, still young and harmless. It would give you a better understanding than any presentation. Trill considered this. His initial reports to the Concordat had been panicked. He needed more data, more observation before making a final assessment. Tomorrow. We'll visit this park tomorrow, but tonight I need to compile what we've learned and send it home. Of course, Dr. Wright said. We'll arrange transportation and security. Security from what? Horvan asked. The predators or the humans? David laughed. From neither. Security to keep people from crowding you. Humans will be very curious about meeting aliens. You might be swarmed by excited children, wanting to introduce you to their puppies. The aliens weren't sure which was more terrifying, facing predators or facing enthusiastic human young accompanied by their predator companions. They would find out tomorrow at the park. The transport vehicle pulled up to Riverside Park just after lunch. Through the windows, the aliens could see what they had agreed to witness. Dozens of humans moving across grass and pathways, and with nearly every human walked a dog. Some dogs were small enough to fit in handbags. Others were massive, reaching up to their owners' waists. All of them seemed excited to be outside. Trill had spent the previous night reviewing his notes and updating the Concordat. Their response had been predictable. Disbelief followed by demands for more evidence. The council wanted video footage, biological samples, psychological assessments. They couldn't accept that an intelligent species would voluntarily live with predators. Trill couldn't blame them. He still struggled to accept it himself. David opened the vehicle door. The sounds of the park immediately flooded in. Barking, laughing, children shouting, the thud of balls being thrown, and the padding of dozens of paws on grass and concrete. It was chaos organized around joy. Humans and dogs playing together without apparent fear or hierarchy. Just mutual enjoyment. "This is a normal Saturday," Dr. Wright said as they stepped out. "Parks like this exist in every city. People bring their dogs to exercise and socialize. The dogs play with each other. The humans talk to each other. It's community building." Lyra activated her recording devices. Every moment needed to be documented. The Concordat scientists would study this footage for years. A child ran past them, chasing a golden-colored dog that had stolen his hat. The dog looked back, mouth open in what humans called a smile, clearly playing a game. The child caught up, tackled the dog gently, and both rolled in the grass while the child's parents watched and laughed. "That breed is called a retriever," David explained. "They were bred to fetch birds that hunters shot. But most modern retrievers never hunt. They're family dogs. Gentle with children, patient, loyal. That particular dog probably sleeps in that child's bedroom." Horvin observed the interaction through his tactical analysis lens. The dog was clearly capable of harming the child. One bite to the throat would be fatal. But the dog's body language showed no aggression. Its tail movements indicated pleasure. Its playbows invited more interaction. The danger was present but never activated. They walked along a main pathway. People noticed them, some stopping to stare, others waving in friendly greeting. A few took pictures with their communication devices. But most interesting were the dogs' reactions. Several noticed the aliens and approached cautiously, sniffing the air. Their owners pulled them back gently, apologizing. "Sorry," one woman said, restraining a large black dog. "He's curious about new smells." "He won't hurt you." The dog's tail wagged slowly. Its eyes were bright with interest but not aggression. Trill found himself frozen again, but this time with less fear and more fascination. The creature wanted to investigate, not attack. It was curious, just like the woman said. "Can they smell that we're not human?" Lyra asked. "Definitely," Dr. Wright confirmed. "Dogs have incredible scent detection. They can smell emotions, diseases, even some chemicals. They know you're different, but different doesn't mean dangerous to them. Just interesting." They reached an enclosed area marked as a dog park. Inside, dozens of dogs ran free without leashes. Small ones chased each other in tight circles. Large ones wrestled and rolled. Some played with toys while their owners stood around the perimeter, watching and chatting. It looked like controlled chaos, but everyone seemed to know the unspoken rules. A small dog, fluffy and white, approached the fence near them. It barked once, a high-pitched sound that made Horvin jump. Then it spun in a circle and barked again, clearly excited. "That's a poodle," David said. Believe it or not, they were originally hunting dogs, water retrievers. Now they're mostly companion animals. That one probably weighs less than 10 pounds. 10 pounds can still have teeth, Horvin muttered. A woman jogged past them, a large dog running beside her. The dog's tongue hung out, its breathing heavy but rhythmic. It matched the woman's pace perfectly, never pulling ahead or falling behind. The synchronization was remarkable. They exercised together, Lyra observed. The human's pace is the dog's pace. They've learned each other's rhythms. "That's a husky," Dr. Wright said, noting the dog's thick fur and blue eyes. They were bred to pull sleds in frozen climates. This one probably has so much energy that running is necessary to keep it happy. The human needs exercise too, so they do it together. Partnership. A commotion drew their attention. A large brown dog had knocked over a small child. The aliens tensed, expecting violence. Instead, the dog immediately backed away, ears down in what looked like apology. The child sat up, laughing, and hugged the dog. The child's father helped them both up, ruffling the dog's fur affectionately. "Accidents happen," David said. But notice the dog's response. It knew it made a mistake. It showed submission. These behaviors are trained from puppyhood. Dogs learn what's acceptable and what's not. They continued walking until they reached a quieter section of the park. An elderly man sat on a bench, a small brown dog curled in his lap. The man stroked the dog's fur slowly, rhythmically. Both looked peaceful, content in each other's presence. "That's the other side of dog companionship," Dr. Wright said softly. "Comfort. That man probably lives alone. The dog gives him purpose, routine, affection. Studies show elderly humans with dogs live longer, healthier lives. The dogs need them and they need the dogs." Trill watched the scene with his three eyes from different angles. The bond was undeniable. This wasn't master and servant or farmer and livestock. This was genuine mutual care. The human protected and fed the dog. The dog provided companionship and emotional support. Both benefited equally. A group of children approached them, supervised by two adults. They carried training treats in small bags. Several dogs walked beside them on leashes, all different sizes and colors. "Excuse me," one of the adults said. "We're from the local school. We're teaching the children about responsible pet ownership. Would you mind if they showed you what they've learned?" David looked at the aliens, giving them the choice. Trill's color shifted to curious green. "Please show us." The children lined up with their dogs. They demonstrated commands: sit, stay, come down. Each dog obeyed, receiving treats and praise. The children explained what they were doing, talking about patience, consistency, positive reinforcement. They were teaching the aliens about dog training while simultaneously demonstrating the results. One girl, perhaps 9 years old, had a large spotted dog that towered over her. "This is my dog, Spot. He's a mixed breed, which means he's part different kinds of dogs. I've had him since he was a puppy. I taught him all these tricks myself." She commanded the dog to sit, then lie down, then roll over. The massive creature obeyed each command gently, carefully watching the girl's face for approval. When finished, the girl hugged the dog around its neck. "He's my best friend," she said simply. Horvin found himself unable to look away. That dog could harm that child so easily, but it never would. Thousands of years of breeding, training, and partnership had removed that possibility. The dog existed to protect and love that child. Its entire purpose was centered on human happiness. Another child stepped forward, nervous. He had a small dog that shook slightly, apparently also nervous. "This is Buddy. We just got him from the shelter last month. He was scared of everything, but now he's getting braver. We're teaching him that the world is safe." The concept struck Trill deeply. Humans rescuing frightened dogs, teaching them to trust again, spending time and resources on creatures that had no practical purpose except companionship. It was compassion on a level his species reserved only for their own kind. The demonstration ended. The children waved goodbye, walking away with their dogs. Each child talked to their dog, praising them, offering treats, showing affection. The dogs' tails never stopped moving. Lyra spoke first. "I need to revise my assessment. This isn't domestication as we understood it. This is integration. You've made them part of your society at every level. They're not tools. They're citizens without voting rights." "That's actually accurate," Dr. Wright said. "Many laws protect dogs. Harming them is criminal. Neglecting them is punishable. They have rights because we recognize they have feelings, needs, and deserve respect." A jogger passed them, running with not one but 3 dogs of different sizes. All moved in harmony, obviously practiced at this routine. In the distance, someone threw a disc that a dog caught midair, twisting athletically. Near the pond, a dog swam happily while its owner watched from shore. Everywhere they looked, the pattern repeated. Humans and dogs together, happy, safe. The predators had become partners. The danger had become love. The sun was setting over the park when they returned to the transport vehicle. Trill's skin had cycled through every color in his species' emotional spectrum throughout the day. Currently, he showed deep purple, the shade of profound contemplation. Horvin's antennae drooped with exhaustion, not from physical effort but from mental overload. Lyra hadn't stopped recording or taking notes, her scientific discipline the only thing keeping her grounded in this strange new reality. Back at the facility, they gathered in the conference room one final time. David had ordered food, simple sandwiches and drinks, though the aliens barely touched theirs. Their minds were too occupied processing what they had witnessed. "We need to make our final report," Trill said, his voice steadier than it had been that first day. "The Concordat is waiting. They've already expressed concern that Earth might be too dangerous for regular contact. They fear humans might be unpredictable, aggressive, or unstable." "What will you tell them?" Dr. Wright asked. Trill pulled up his data pad and began organizing his thoughts. He spoke slowly, testing each conclusion against his observations. I will tell them that humans are the most remarkable species we've encountered. Not because of your technology or your military capability, because you befriended your nightmares. Horvin nodded, adding his own analysis. From a security standpoint, Earth should terrify us. Your planet evolved predators at every level. Your ancestors competed with creatures designed to kill. But instead of being destroyed or becoming paranoid survivors, you became the ultimate predator yourselves. Then you did something no tactical manual in the galaxy would predict. You turned your greatest competitors into your greatest allies. Lyra brought up the biological data she had collected. Scans of dogs, genetic comparisons, behavioral observations. The science is clear. You didn't just tame predators. You created a new form of consciousness. Dogs think differently than wolves because of you. Their brains literally evolved to understand human emotions. They can read your facial expressions, interpret your tone, sense your moods. You created a species designed to love you. We created companions, David said quietly.
Is that so strange?
Yes, all three aliens said simultaneously. Trill continued his report composition. Every species in the Concordat solved the predator problem through avoidance or elimination. We built walls, developed weapons, created safe zones. We see danger and move away from it. You see danger and ask if it wants to be friends. That should be extinction-level foolishness. Somehow it became your greatest strength. Dr. Wright pulled up one final presentation. This one showed data from the past century of human history. Wars fought with dogs beside soldiers. Rescue operations where dogs found survivors in collapsed buildings. Scientific studies where dogs detected diseases in humans before machines could. Therapy programs where traumatized people healed through contact with gentle dogs. Police forces where dogs tracked criminals and protected officers. Farm operations where dogs guarded livestock from wild predators. They're not just companions, she explained. They're partners in every aspect of our civilization. We succeed because they're with us. They make us braver, calmer, more empathetic. In teaching them to trust us, we learn to trust them. That mutual trust became the foundation for how we treat all relationships. Horvin saw the tactical implication immediately. That's why your diplomatic approach is so different from ours. We negotiate from protected positions, always watching for betrayal. You negotiate by building trust first, assuming partnership is possible. It's not naivety. It's practiced behavior from 35,000 years of turning enemies into family. The pieces were falling into place. The aliens were beginning to understand not just what humans had done with dogs, but what it revealed about human nature itself. They were a species that saw connection as survival, trust as strength, and love as a legitimate response to danger. A soft knock interrupted them. Lucas appeared at the door again, this time in pajamas. Bruno walked beside him, a stuffed toy in the dog's mouth. The boy's mother stood behind them, apologetic. Sorry, last interruption. Lucas wanted to say goodnight to our guests before bed. Lucas walked up to Trill, who was still the tallest alien. The boy held out something small, a rubber ball covered in tooth marks. This is for you. It's Bruno's favorite ball. He wants you to have it. Maybe you can visit again and play with him. Trill took the ball carefully, as if it were a sacred artifact. In a way, it was. This worn toy represented thousands of play sessions between human child and domesticated predator. It smelled like dog saliva and boy's sweat. It was disgusting and beautiful simultaneously. Thank you, Trill managed to say. His translator struggled with the emotion in his voice. I will keep this. And yes, I would like to visit again. Lucas smiled, then surprised everyone by hugging Trill's leg. The gesture was pure trust. A human child embracing an alien just as he embraced his dog. No fear, only friendship offered freely. Bruno approached next, sniffing each alien carefully. His tail wagged slowly, testing their reactions. When none of them moved away, the tail wagged faster. Horvin, acting on some impulse he didn't fully understand, reached out and touched the dog's head. The fur was soft, warm. Bruno leaned into the touch, clearly enjoying it. He likes you, Lucas said. I told you he was nice. Mother, child, and dog left. The door closed. The alien sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Lyra spoke. I need to revise everything I thought I knew about apex predators, social bonding, and evolutionary partnership. This will take years to fully analyze. I need to revise our security protocols, Horvin added. A species that turns predators into family members probably sees warfare and peace differently than we assumed. We've been preparing for the wrong kind of contact. Trill held the ball, turning it over in his hands. I need to tell the Concordat they were asking the wrong question. They wanted to know if humans are dangerous. The answer is yes, incredibly dangerous. But the real question is, who are humans dangerous to? And the answer is their enemies, never their friends. And they'll try to turn their enemies into friends before fighting. David smiled. That's probably the most accurate assessment of humanity I've ever heard. The final report took shape over the next hour. Trill wrote carefully, knowing his words would influence the entire Concordat's policy toward Earth. He described the dogs, the cats, the horses, all the domesticated creatures. He explained the biological mechanisms, the historical development, the cultural significance. But most importantly, he tried to convey what it meant. Humans were predators who rejected loneliness. They were warriors who preferred partnership. They were survivors who chose trust over isolation. They had conquered their world not through dominance but through cooperation, even with species that should have been mortal enemies. The report's conclusion was simple. The Quilarian Concordat should pursue full diplomatic relations with Earth, not despite humanity's relationship with predators, but because of it. A species capable of loving their natural enemies was capable of building lasting peace with anyone. Horvin added a security note. Earth might be the safest allied planet in the galaxy, protected by hundreds of millions of loyal dogs who would die to defend their human families. Any invasion force would face not just human military but every dog, every cat, every protective animal that humans had welcomed into their homes. Lyra's scientific addendum suggested extensive research partnerships. If humans could biologically modify predators to love them, what else could they teach the galaxy about evolutionary adaptation and species cooperation? They transmitted the report as dawn broke over Earth. Somewhere in the facility, a rooster crowed. Another domesticated animal, apparently. The aliens were almost beyond surprise at this point. Lucas appeared again at breakfast, Bruno beside him as always. The boy carried a tablet showing pictures he had drawn overnight. Crude sketches of aliens and dogs playing together. In a child's imagination, friendship was already established. When you come back, Lucas said, can you bring your pets? I want to meet alien animals too. The three aliens looked at each other. None of their species kept pets. The concept hadn't existed in their cultures. They had working animals, food animals, but no companions. No creatures that existed purely to be loved and to love in return. We don't have pets, Trill admitted. But perhaps that should change. Your people have taught us something important today. What's that? Lucas asked. Trill looked at Bruno, then at Lucas, then at the ball still in his possession. That making friends with creatures different from yourself isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And that love can exist between any two beings willing to trust each other. Bruno wagged his tail, as if understanding and approving. The dog had no idea he represented 35,000 years of human evolution and partnership. He just knew these strange-smelling visitors had finally learned to pet him correctly, and that made them good people in his simple, loyal, generous heart. Outside, more dogs were barking as people took them for morning walks. The sound that had once terrified the aliens now seemed almost welcoming. The howl of predators transformed through love into the song of companionship. It was the sound of Earth, dangerous and beautiful and unlike anywhere else in the galaxy. And somewhere in space, the Concordat received the report, and began to understand that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their weapons. It was their remarkable, foolish, wonderful ability to look at a wolf and see a friend waiting to be made.